everyone. Welcome now. This is an awesome day of FileMaker training. Let's see. So we're doing design. So I'm going to get rid of myself here, Nick. We're going to go full screen on you.
Okay, so guys, so last week we left over here. So we were talking about organizing fields, right? So if you watch the video last week, we start filling a bunch of fields in the layout, and then it wasn't really comfortable to read and to look at, right there. So and then we learn about the labels and how to manipulate objects, the duplication. Remember to duplicate. Another last week, I shared like if you duplicate this object like this, right? And you say you want mobile, and then you say duplicate, and you want website, and you say you want duplicate, and you want job title, you duplicate, you want, so you can duplicate like this, and then the object will come at the same distance of the first duplication you made. So this is a very old technique. It's MacDraw. It's a MacDraw feature from 1984. So, but it's cool to know that we have this in FileMaker. They didn't kill it, since Claris is the owner of pretty much all their Mac software. Back in the Claris software. The MacDraw and MacWrite and whatever Claris works and stuff like this. So Claris has the right on those things, the patents. So that's why they didn't kill that. And but it's very cool to know. So last week we saw that. Then we start building like object like this, playing with our areas. Then we can build some blocks of data that belongs together, right. So for example, here we understand this is the communication. We understand this is more a status, whatever, identifier of the contact. And here is pretty much all about the contact himself, right? So and we block them, and we made block together, and then we left over there. But then I want to show you something about how we can gain real estate, right, and make it better to read, better to read, and at the same time we save a lot of real estate, right? So it's all about address, because okay, let's be honest. How many times you in your contacts record are you going to change the address? Is that something you're going to change every day? If the guy is moving every day from one address to another, no, it's not. It's more likely something that you're going to go there once in the lifetime of the record, right? It's not going. How many times did you move, Richard, in the last 25 years?
I'm actually pretty stable, but
Yeah.
I moved last time I moved was 27 years ago. So
Okay.
I've been
Yeah.
in this
See.
house. So,
Yeah.
but so that's what we call a high traffic area on the interface, where we're doing a lot or we're not doing a lot. It's like where you wear your
Yes.
carpet out in your house, right? Yeah.
Yes. Exactly. So the same thing for the title. More likely it's not going to change. We never know, especially in California. But first name, first last name, okay, all of those things they stick. Okay, but let's make the example. The example I want to make it on the address, right? Okay, so the address, you understand, it takes a lot of real estate because we have address 1, 2, the zip, whatever, postal code, city, state, country, sometime, right? So we have a lot of fields. So more likely what you're going to do to fix that problem, you're going to do something like this, right? So you put the code and then you put the city like this. You're going to do something like this, right? Which is not at all comfortable, right? So you do like a workaround to try to save real estate, right? Which is not good at all.
Yep. Yep.
It's better to keep what I call the verticality, right? Because it's easier to read. When you read something like this, it's easier to read, easier for the eye, right? It's not you're not going to get your eyes tired, right? So how I can make something here, right? So more likely, so let's take my soon previous address, right? 138 West Rose Street, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, okay, this is my address. So I don't remember. So we put the here, right? We put the comma here, right?
Uh, yeah.
Okay. So, um, if you see something like this, you understand what it is, correct?
Okay.
Mhm.
I'm
So
agreeing.
now, okay, so that is easy to understand what it is. We know to read address like this. That's not something like, and when you read an address like this, you understand much better than like this, right?
Okay.
Right? So if I put the address like this, like 138, right?
Mm-hmm.
West Rose Street,
Mm-hmm.
95202.
Mm-hmm.
Stockton,
Mm-hmm.
oops, and let's put
California.
CA. Okay.
Yep.
So if you read like this, it's better to read like this.
Okay.
Boom. Right.
Okay.
So before it was a little bit more complicated because we had to make a special dedicated field for what I'm going to do. But now we have the layout calculation.
Ah, the LCO. Okay, layout
Yeah.
option. Yep.
So,
Okay.
okay. So that makes everything simpler because we don't need to make.
I keep forgetting that's even a thing, Nick, because it's basically
Oh,
new, right?
I'm
Essentially.
using that like, I'm abusing it
Oh, wow. Okay.
because it changes everything.
Mm.
So it's a game changer. And I did a demo here for
Mm.
this demo here, a replacement of this.
Mm-hmm.
When I was saying that, just a recap, I was saying that the button bar, when you exceed 10 segments, it
Mm-hmm.
start to be a pain in the butt to build
Mm-hmm.
because you have to do this and double click and put this and click here and put. So
Yep.
it's much better to have a poll, right? And then to have uh whatever button list here, to have a list like this, and then you put your titles and you put all your stuff, the sort order, your icons, and then you get something like this,
Mm. Okay.
right? Right? Instead of getting something like this, right? So and this here is a dialogue, a calculation, layout dialogue, a layout
Layout
calculation.
calculation object, LCO. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's okay. So layout calculation is a big deal, and here a good application of what I'm going to show. So instead of having this here, instead of having, let's put that here, instead of having the address like this here, what about having two fields, not really fields, right?
Okay.
But to have something like this, to say here,
Okay.
this is the work address,
Okay.
okay? And then to have um, a popover,
Okay.
okay? So we have a popover
Okay.
like this, right? And in the popover,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to drag those things,
Okay.
right? And rearrange them like this.
Mm.
So,
Okay.
and that will give me the opportunity to show you something, right? So you have the work address 1, the work address 2, right?
Okay.
The city, the code, the state, and the code. The state and the postal code. This is the right order, I think.
Okay. No, that's
Okay.
correct. State and
Yeah.
then postal code or zip code. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay. So, but here, in terms of design, we don't do this, right? We don't
Okay.
say work address, work city, work state, work. Okay, I got it. It's work stuff. Okay,
Okay. Okay.
I
Got it.
got it. We got it. And if you really want, you say this is a work address in the popover because we
Yep.
have the title here.
Okay.
So I can get rid of this.
So
Okay.
we're going to get rid of all the work labels off of here. Okay, that makes sense.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. So that's a way to do this, right? So that's a way, the way I'm doing it. I'm using also something I'm using and use, right?
I never use that
Is
either right there. That's another
yeah.
thing I
So
never
that's
use.
very cool because I'm doing this, right? And so I'm going to
So
select.
everyone understand that that find replace is not FileMaker find. That is a like a text tool find. Like find
Yes.
everywhere it says Kintuli and change it to something else. Yeah. So
Yeah.
work and you're
So
going to
yeah. So
change it.
work with space,
Mm-hmm.
right? And in all direction,
And replace with nothing,
and
right?
replace all, right?
Okay.
Boom, gone.
Wow. Okay.
So instead of you understand what instead of doing this,
No, I
select,
get it.
remove.
I get
Yeah,
it.
okay,
I get
yeah.
it. Never even occurred to me. That's cool. What menu is that under again? Is that under
Edits and
down
find
second at the
replace.
bottom? Okay, down there. Okay.
So imagine also that's a good webinar, by the way. Imagine also when you have a lot of merge fields
Mm.
and you want to remap the fields with a different
Mm.
stable occurrence.
Mm. Okay.
So I'm using I when I build something advanced, I change my way of coding and presenting things in the layout to use this kind of stuff. Okay, so because this is the time saving a lot and prevent problems and bugs and typos, whatever, right? So now I have this nice block of fields like this, right? So and I can arrange those things. So you select all of those and you align to the right, to the left, right? And you put everything the same size,
Okay.
right?
Yep.
And then
I use those tools. Yep. Yep.
you distribute vertically,
Yep.
right? And then you unselect this and you put this a little bit down, right? To have something like this. And then you can duplicate this bar here.
Mm-hmm.
You can put it here.
Mm-hmm.
You arrange it a little bit down like this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then you duplicate it like this. You put a little bit down and then duplicate, right?
Oh, it learned what you did. Okay.
Yes. You don't know that?
Well, I never trusted it because about the time I would do it, it wouldn't do it the right way. So I just kind of like, no.
Yeah, sometimes it get off 1 pixel because it cannot divide a odd number of pixels. Well, depending how this is distributed, but it's okay. If there's one off, you can put it up,
Sure.
So
Sure.
yeah, so here I have this nice block, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
For my address, right?
Mm-hmm.
Look good, right? And here I have this. So what do I want this so what do I want to do? Instead of having here
Okay.
all those fields for the work address, right?
Mm-hmm.
I have this block here, right?
And you put your what
The,
LCO in there, right? The layout
yeah,
calculation.
I'm going to build it.
Yeah. Okay.
So, and then you double click and then you can enter your address. And then when you close it here, I'm going to show an address that way, right? So I will show something like this here,
Mm-hmm.
right? Oops, front. I'm going to show something like this here,
Mm-hmm.
right? Right. So I have my address here. So the work address. Yeah, this
Okay.
is it got away.
Okay.
So work address, and then I'm going to do the same for the home address, right?
Okay.
So you understand that now I'm saving a bunch of space.
Hey, by the way, everyone, you guys understand this. Is this good? Is this good information? Because this is valuable. I don't think about things like this. I mostly just try to get it to work. And then Alec and Nick is going through here and doing some really neat optimization and reminding us of things to think about when we're designing the UI. So,
Yeah.
Lynn, yeah, Lynn says valuable. People saying valuable, or Ken said valuable. Yeah, no,
Here the goal is to save real estate
yes,
without losing comfort of use, you know, and in the same time adding like visibility. That means it's easier to read something like this. So now we need to build the calc that are going to do that in a smart way. Okay,
okay,
in a smart way. So so let's build that calc. Okay.
okay,
So we have the calc that a calc like this. So now
okay,
we have the calc. But
okay.
before to do this,
Mm-hmm.
before to build the calc in a calc dialog, in a calc dialog, in a layout calculation, I prefer to do it in the data view.
Oh,
Why
okay.
is yeah, because here I will see the results.
Yeah,
Right?
it's like a calculation simulator, right? Kind
Yeah,
of
it's
thing.
like
Yeah.
yeah, it's like a calc debugger, I call that.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. Okay, so I'm doing my calc here. So I'm going to put whatever I want in a let statement, right? So
Mm-hmm.
what do I need in the let statement? Oh, I need the address
Mm-hmm.
one, okay, which is a work address one. I need the address two, which is a work address two, right? So I put all the component of my address there. What else? We have the city. Okay, so we work city. Okay,
Yeah, Zane on YouTube says it's highly valuable, and also then Rick Foz not completed the survey. Thanks, Rick. Nick, keep going. You're doing good. Just keep trucking. I'm
okay.
just doing a little. Yep.
So I want the states and the zip postal, whatever, postal. And the postal is postal work. Okay,
There you
so I
go.
have all my
Yep.
components here. Okay, so far so good. I'm good. So now what do I want to do? You know what I want to do? I want to build something like this, right? But in a smart way. Okay. So here what we do. We do a list, right? Let me I wish FileMaker had something like, okay. So I put a list, and in the list, I'm going to add all my address components, right?
Okay.
And now I can see the results, correct?
Yep.
I see the results. Now what I want to do, I want to flatten this. I want to make it shoop, one line, right?
All right.
Okay, correct?
I feel a
Uh,
question coming, but you just keep going, Nick, because I'm over here
yeah,
vibrating. I'm vibrating.
okay. So I'm doing a substitute of the whole thing. So I try to present it in a clear manner, right?
Mm-hmm.
I want to change the whole thing, and I want to replace with I'm going to replace the carriage return with a space,
Okay. Substitute. Okay. All right.
correct?
Okay.
So now we have a problem. Houston, we have a problem. The Stockton comma space CA.
Yeah.
Okay, so how to fix that problem? With the same method that I built this. So let's do this. Okay. So we do the comma stuff. Okay. So what the comma? It's a list of the comma will be the list of the city, right?
Mm-hmm.
and the state, correct, is the list of this and this. I'm going to substitute this, and I'm going to change the carriage return with my stuff. And now here, instead of putting city and state here, I'm going to get rid of this and put this.
All right.
Bomb.
Okay, this is great, but I have this. Okay, back up. This is why. Okay, sorry everyone. So everything over here made sense. We're working over here. This made sense, and doing this made sense. And then you wrote all these lines of code, and you know what I'm going to say? Why didn't you just write out the function up here at the top and be done with it? Why
But
not do it that
why?
way?
Why I'm doing that way?
What? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm going
I
to.
would never use the whole let thing there and everything. I'm just wondering why. To explain to me
Why?
why this is great.
Because
Why is this
you
great?
okay? Because now I'm bulletproof. I keep that in the side here. I can put here. I can put here whatever I want. I can
I
put.
understand that, and
I
I
can
understand
remove this
this
and put
part. This
here.
part makes
It
sense.
works,
Okay, but
right?
I mean it.
If I don't put the state,
Uh-huh.
I don't put because I don't.
Uh-huh.
Poof, the comma goes away, and I don't have an extra space. If you do the space, the n% space, n% city, n% space,
Right,
n%.
right, right.
If you have,
Then you
if
have
you
extra
remove the
spaces.
CR, you have two space,
Mm.
and then you do the trim or whatever bullshit you want to do, and it won't work. My stuff, I remove Stockton. Boom! I don't have a white space. I don't have an extra space. I
Oh,
remove potash code.
we're looking
Poof.
right here. Okay, yeah. Because we need to put it over. Here's where we need it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Here we
Okay.
look
Yep,
here,
yep, yep, yep,
right?
yep, yep. Okay.
So I can do whatever I want. If I put
I,
this
I
that
knew
as my
there was an
address,
answer, Nick. But I wanted you to justify
yeah,
it, Nick. I want you to be able to
I
justify
justified.
it. I
Yeah,
think you did.
see, yeah,
It's
because the okay, I explain. The substitute. So I create carriage returns. Boom, boom, boom. So let me put back the full address like it was. Okay,
Mhm.
and city, Stockton, and 95202. No, CA.
Hmm.
Okay, so that's my address back. So what did I do here? So let's take this. Let's duplicate this calc and dismantle it. Okay, so I remove this. Remove this. Actually, I can do this. I remove this. That's why I'm coding that way, because I can do this. Both. Okay, so I have this. So I put everywhere, I replace between each components, right? I'm putting like a carriage return. And then I said, okay, substitute the carriage return by a space, but right?
Okay.
So if I don't have anything here, the carriage return won't happen. The carriage return won't be here. That means the substitute won't replace something that is not existing by the space. It replaces only if I have a carriage return. So if I have something here and something here, well, I will have only one carriage return. So it will put one space. So the substitute technique is to prevent the extra space, because if you hard coded it like you want to do, right? So let's do it, right? So if you want to hard code it, like work address one, and to write is a big, boom boom boom, and then you say work address two, and boom 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 boom, like this, and then the work whatever city, if you do something like this, right? Okay, so if I get rid of here, I'm get rid of the city. Poof. Okay, if I get rid of the 138, I have a space here. I have a space here, right? And I have a space at the end because those exist. They are hard coded. They're
Yep,
hard,
yep. Well,
and
that
that
yeah.
BS.
Well, I know, but for beginning and new people, I understand that. But I'm just everyone's agreeing with you. I wanted to see you justify it, Nick. Okay,
Yeah,
which is the
uh,
point, because
yeah.
it's not the obvious thing to do, right? It's not
No,
the
it's
obvious
not.
thing.
It's not. But I could easily, because we're good people, right? I could easily get this, right?
Hmm.
That's why I love the statement like this,
Hmm.
because I can copy this and I say, yeah, custom function, and I give it for you,
Mm.
flatten address. Okay. So I put this here, and then I say address one, address two. I put that in the uh in the custom function, and I will give it to you for free. States, right? City, state, postal, and city, state, postal. No, address one. Okay, and it's complete. And then I said, okay, it's this is this is this, state, postal. And now I have a
A custom function.
nice, beautiful custom function that I can use like this and say flatten address. So address one. Let me work. It's better. Oh, address one, work address two. Work city.
Hey,
Work.
Miguel has a question here when you're done with this.
Yes, I'm done. I
Uh,
can. I can. Yeah.
Yeah, well, Miguel's had a comment. We were talking about the spacing and having you justify it, and he goes, "Well, it may be not fully bulletproof. What if the field, and I'm not sure which field he's talking about. What if the field is not empty, but there is a space? Question mark.
Oh, if the field you have a space on the field, yeah, you get the space.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah.
Yeah,
So
of course.
I guess you could always trim it, right? You could trim the
Yeah, but there's no really reason to have a space if it's okay,
no, because
something like this.
people do it by accident all the time, right?
Oh yeah, but
So just Miguel, just so you know, hey Nick, just for giggles, can you bring up the help just real quick, and then I'll be done. Just show the trim help. If you bring
yeah.
up
So
help,
I love to show that to people. You go to the a CAG dialog, you say trim,
hmm
you select it, and then you click that button.
this isn't for trimming your hair or trimming
Yeah,
other things. This is for
but
trimming.
this, yeah, but this technique I'm showing here, when you go
hmm
here, you select this, you click
hmm
here, and you go straight to the help to the trim.
Yep. And so
Okay.
what trim does is it removes unneeded spaces at the leading or trailing positions, right? So.
Yeah. Yeah, it's this. You
Uh,
do this.
yeah, that's basically we're trying to get rid of the because people do data entry and they always have a space typically at the end. You don't even know about it, so that's how you'd kill that. So,
Yes. But that's a better way to do that. Okay, in that case, if you want to do a trim,
mm.
this is how, so I'm
you,
showing you how you do, right?
you put
So
the trim up here and there.
no,
Oh
no,
no,
this is BS.
okay. You just call me
So
bull.
yes. So I
Mm.
said BS, I said BS. No, what you do, you go straight here and you say trim self, right? So
Mm.
you say trim self here, you say trim self here in the field itself, right? So let's put on those two, the address one and two. So if you there and you say space 138 space, oof, goes away. So if you say a street, where space west rose, poof, goes away as you type it, not there in the field itself. So now that I have my nice custom function, right? I can copy this, right? And of course, yeah, because I know the question you will say. I say, oh, let's say I don't, hey Nick, I don't have an address too. Okay, so that's it.
Okay.
My custom function. If you don't have an address too, you
Hmm.
don't put it, but you put a double quote, right?
This is really awesome. This is some nice work.
So now that I have my layout calculation, I can copy the layout calculation because you see that the layout calculation, you put some extra stuff here, right? It's not like you can just copy it. So I have my layout calculation, right? And here I have my button, but because on the popover button and buttons, I cannot put calcs. There's no specified button here, right? But that's what I was saying before. I had to build a field for that to get that calculation. But now I can copy that calculation and put it in the button, and it works.
Oh
No,
man.
right? So I
Okay,
move
everyone.
this.
Hey, that was subtle. Did everyone catch what he just did? Okay,
So
go,
you want me to
Nick. Go into that calc and just add one character or change something on that calc, down right there where you're
which
at.
one? Oh, this one
Yes,
here.
and it's subtle. For those of you who missed this, just put something on the end. Put a space on the end at the very end. Just something that won't mess it up. Just put
Here.
it right there. Now, look what happens. FileMaker by default, everyone will show you the entire calculation, or it'll give you this space. Even though you may be, all this stuff here is going to generate 3 letters like yes or something, right? Whatever it
Yeah,
does, okay?
but
But,
precision. Yeah, go ahead.
so if we want to control how big it is, we override by setting up here, right? Yes,
Yes,
everyone?
yes,
Okay.
because you cannot this. Yes, a text you can do that.
Okay.
Actually, you can do that even. You can do this if you want.
Yeah. The problem is
A,
it
a,
tends
a
to,
text, a text,
it's,
whatever,
yeah,
whatever text here.
as soon as you edit, though, it's going to pop down and then you have to reset it. So that's an important thing to understand.
Yeah. So,
Okay.
for example, I can have a calc dialog like this, double click and click back, double click and click back. Unfortunately, for buttons, no.
Yeah, you lose that. So you have to go back and so if
And go
when you
here
when
and
you
put,
break it here, you have to go back and fix it there. So,
yeah,
okay. That's a subtle thing for those of you who've missed this before.
yeah. And
Why
even if you, yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so Steve wants to know why change to a custom function. Okay. I know the answer to this, but well, there's a couple answers to. Okay, so stop. The people on Discord, I need you to vote for why you think that Nick would take this function, or maybe it was a calc or something, and he turns it into a custom function. Why turn into a custom function? Why? Can anyone, not Nick, I'm not asking Nick, someone who's not Nick and not Richard, can you give me answers? Okay, okay. One is to give it to other people for reuse. That's one. Reusability. Okay, that's
Yeah,
one. There's 2 answers. It has to go back to a video Nick called the 3 engines, right?
yes,
Functions are there. We go, Mikey. Mike, you're the first one there. Nick, go ahead and explain why we do custom functions. Mikey just got the answer. It's performance. So
performance. Yeah,
go. Yeah, the engine
and
that
that's and
the
yeah,
engine that drives the custom functions is way faster than most of the rest of FileMaker, right? So you want to
yes.
explain that?
And that, yeah, and that's another, that's the third one before I explain it. That's the
Uh-oh.
third one because it's much faster to read than this. Each time if I want to do a flattened address, I need to build this. I
Mm-hmm.
don't want. I want to come here and say flattened address, both. That's
Oh,
it.
I see. Yeah. Yeah, in
Yeah,
terms
it's
of reading,
easier.
easier for deployment, easier for reuse, but and then performance. So,
Yes,
why don't you give me 5 minutes on performance,
yes.
like the
Go ahead.
fastest area, medium speed, and then the slowest area. Why don't you do that?
Oh, you want me to do that? Okay.
5 minutes. You
Okay.
have 5 minutes to
Yeah.
do that. That's
Okay.
it.
So everything that is i- everything you do in a custom function. Okay. When you go there in the custom function, is
Hmm.
like you are at Claris and you are coding FileMaker Pro itself, right? It's a door, it's a gate, it's a Stargate, right? From your world to the FileMaker code itself. You are coding FileMaker when you do that, right? You're coding FileMaker. You
Okay.
are at that level. You are in the engine room, right? You are
Okay.
there, you know. So when you are in the surface, where you're not really in the engine room, right? You're in the helm, but you're not. You are the helm. You're on the bridge, but you're not on the engine. You know.
Okay.
You're not Jody LaForge, right?
Okay.
You're Riker. You're Riker. You're data, but you're not Jordy, right? So if you want to be Jordy, you need to go to the custom function. Custom function much faster. You access the memory is not the same, or the data and the IO is not the same. Okay, you really straight to the engine room. So
Okay, so
yeah,
stop. If you have a calculation that you put into, let's talk about three situations. Situation one, calculation is in a custom function. Okay, there's one spot. Calculation is in a calc field. Okay. Calculation is in a set field in a script. Okay. So this is the fastest here. Is that true, Nick?
oh yeah, it's way faster. So just to tell you something, here we have two ways to measure how FileMaker is go, right? How fast FileMaker is. We have this. We have the millisecond, or what we can, how we call that? The get
It's get,
uh, uh,
is it,
uh,
no, it's, what is it? Is it
yeah,
there?
here,
Millisecond, UTC
yeah,
milliseconds. Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
So we have this, and then we have this, the nano or whatever, UTC. That's two. We have the micro.
Okay.
Okay. So we have the milli and the micro.
Okay.
If you use milli
Mm-hmm.
to measure how long it takes to calculate a custom function,
Mm-hmm.
you will get zero all the time,
Okay.
right? Because it's too small.
Okay.
You need something even, I mean, it's too big, the
Yep.
measure, you know?
Yep.
So you need something faster to get a number.
Okay.
And the microsecond is what you need, is the measure you need to measure how fast a calculation is on the custom function.
On the
So
custom
they
function.
they they create the microsecond for that reason. Millisecond is good for scripts,
Okay.
because
So it's
scripts, yeah,
much slower. You're saying it's much
is much
slower.
slower.
Yeah.
So millisecond on script is good. Microsecond on script, you will get something like this, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if you say millisecond on custom function, for example, you will get zero,
Okay. So
because
so
yeah, go
that
ahead.
this brings up an important point right here, and that is that because we say it's faster doesn't mean you should run everything through there. But if you had a large calculation, right?
Yes.
A large one that you had to repeat a bunch for some reason, you'd want to see if you could put it into a custom function as opposed to being. Normally, I don't even bother with calculation fields anymore. I get rid of those. I have a text or number field over here, and I use a script to precisely control that. However, this using the same calc will be much slower than doing it over this way. Okay. The rub is that, well, you use, so whenever I say something's faster, people go, well, let's get rid of everything else and just use this. And you can't do that. You can't even begin to do that. So, but if you have a very big calc, I don't even think Nick's calc is very big, but you'll have some calcs that are pretty big for some reason. Try to see if you can put them in a custom function. That's a big deal.
Yeah. Yeah. Here the main reason why I put that in a custom function. It's not performance, because I'm not doing anything. It's not like performance was. There's no difference. It was just for the easy to use and reuse and read, right? But
Right.
yes,
No, I
yeah,
understand,
yeah.
but I want to point this out because I don't know. Have you talked about the three engines lately? I don't think we've talked about that recently.
No, for a long time, like 2016, something like this.
Okay,
We talk
yeah. So
about
we
this.
need to, yeah, with probably one we want to go back and talk about because
Mhm.
there are reasons to reuse stuff. There's reasons to precisely control things, and there's also pound for pound, certain things in FileMaker are going to go much faster, right? If you do
Yes,
them a certain way, and that's
yeah.
the
The
conversation.
least, the slowest thing ever you can do in FileMaker, right? The slowest is this set field. This is the
Okay.
slowest,
Okay.
right?
Yeah, but keep in mind that can be a lot faster given if you have a calc field that's going to update millions of records or you want to precisely control this. I tend to, yeah, just be careful because we say it's the slowest. If you do 1,000 custom functions, right? Right, you do
Ah,
versus 1,000 scripts doing the same thing, right? This will be way faster,
yeah,
but this you can precisely control when the script fires. Big deal.
yes,
This over here, not necessarily, right? So
yeah. The yeah. So I'm not saying that I'm not using set field. I'm using set field. Of course, I'm using a lot of
all
set
the
field.
time,
So
right? Yeah.
I'm not saying that is. I'm not saying that is not something you need to. I'm not saying don't use set field. No, I'm not saying that. We're not saying neither. Oh, put everything in custom function. We don't
Mm-hmm.
say that anymore. Not neither. We say you need to use a good, common sense. For example, yes, the trim is better to put the trim here
Okay.
instead of putting the trim after.
Right. No, I get it. Okay, we have a
Yeah.
couple questions here on this. There's Hot Air Balloon Kin and also Miguel has a question. Hot Air Balloon Kin, they're asking very similar questions. What about using an auto enter calc versus I'm assuming that's an auto enter calc on like a text field versus a layout calc.
Okay.
Uh,
So
you know,
so here the catch with the layout calc. So we need it's a good question, by the way. The auto entry calculation, right?
mhm.
If this was a crazy calculation, like related fields or the other side of the spectrum of the map, right? I mean, if you do something crazy, you don't want a layout calc. Why? Because layout calc is like having an unstored calculation. Here, this is so freaking simple, it doesn't matter. But if that was something complicated, crazy, I will have done the auto entry in the field because the auto entry is done, is there, is calculated, is evaluated, and poof, is there forever until you change something here.
Yep.
This will be calculated every time you go to a record,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
So be careful with this. You cannot. I never put anything crazy here. I mean, I have a philosophy. I have I have rules. My rules is in a layout calculation, no related fields. That's simple.
Okay.
If I
Uh,
have to put a related field, I don't use it.
okay. So Miguel has a question right along here. I'm going to jump in here. What is the advantage of using a layout calc versus a button bar calc? And I don't really know
Oh,
there would be a difference. Would there be a difference, Nick?
but because this is because it's not meant for that. Because it's not. It's a button. It's a big object. Here, here you need an
But
object, a button bar. So you need a button bar. Okay, so let's do it. Let's
but
do
they're
it that
both
way.
on the layout. They're both on the
No,
layout.
yeah,
So
but so let's do that way. I want to put that in the button. So let's put that way. So I copy
okay.
this. So I have my button, my
Okay.
pop over button,
Yep.
right? And here I have this. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing this. Well, I'm doing the same thing. I have this object. I put that here. So I put that here. Okay. It's there. And then I have to put this object. I put here on top. So I have two buttons. I have this button. I have this button. It's a big freaking mess. It's a big mess.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So no, I prefer to have the button. I copy the calc.
Hmm.
I paste it here in the button. So now I have one object.
Then you make it smaller. Yep. Yep.
I have one object,
Yep.
not two. And the button bar is not meant for that. It's
Okay.
not. I understand before it was a workaround because before we didn't have this. Because I can put that in a button as well, you know, because before people were using button bars because they can put a calc here.
Well,
Okay.
that's what Miguel's saying he does. Miguel says I usually place calculation inside a button bar name, right?
Yeah, but it's not good. I prefer to have a button like this. I have a button, I have one object with the calc inside. It's there. I have the button here, boom. I have one object. And I can have also, I can have a button like this. And I typically use this, right?
Mhm.
And I typically use the button black and I put it like this and I say this and this and this, you know. Okay, so now I have this nice button here, right? Look how it looks.
Mm.
Poof, looks great. No?
By the way, Miguel, just because Nick says he prefers it away doesn't mean you're doing anything wrong. So if some of
No,
us,
I'm not. Yeah,
so,
go ahead.
yeah, so just to be clear about that, some of you don't take it like I always want to make sure we don't take things out of context, Nick, right? A little bit in terms of how that looks or how that works with people, right?
Yeah. I mean, okay. Look, we when you build something, you need to know. We have new tools, modern tools. Okay. So yeah, I understand the button bar. You put the button bar, but the button bar is a button bar. It's a button bar. It's for something, right? I have a button here. Why you want two objects in your layout?
Mm.
I don't want. I want to use the object with the right tools, right? And you're
Now,
here to learn. You need to know. Otherwise, yeah, don't come and keep going the way you do. I'm showing you that this technique here is way better. So you learn about the flattened address. You learn how to do a custom function. You learn how to do a layout calculation. You learn how to put the layout calculation in the bot. You learn. You better.
okay,
You
so
you
so
yeah,
okay,
yeah.
so
Go
to
ahead.
backstop you on this, take a breath, Nick. Code
Mhm.
to go on Twitch goes the under the hood, and I'm going to help him with this. Under hood, there is CSS coding. The under the hood for the button bar is a lot bigger than the text object with the layout calculation on it. So,
Oh yeah.
so here's what you this
Here.
conversation me and Nick are having. We could be on this for a week, right?
Oh yeah. At
He's
least.
at least a week. Yeah, real easy. Um,
But it's right. Who said that online? It's right. This is a freaking big object. Look all the freaking components you have on this object.
okay, so
You have the
let
bar.
take a
You
breath
have
for a
the
second. Let me
segments.
explain this. So
Yeah.
every object that's on screen has some invisible XML code. Lines of
Mhm.
code, lines of code, lines of code, lines of code. And FileMaker is processing that as it displays it. That right there, that's a label. That's pretty easy. That's a single field. And the point is, if you have a button bar, the amount of code that comes out of a button bar is like a book of text and so that book of text has to be sent down to your client from the FileMaker server. Your copy of Pro or Go or WebDirect has to process all that. So a screen full of button bars will not be as fast as maybe it could have been otherwise, right? So
And it's complicating the object because this is how a button bar looks like on the object tree,
yeah,
right?
yep,
This is how this object looks like. You
yeah,
have the popover button and the popover,
and that's all you've got. Yeah, it's
you
all
know.
simpler. So once again, Miguel, just you don't have to change anything. I just want to make sure that if we talk about performance and things and simplicity, you need to find your own way with everything. It's not about us saying it's right or wrong. We're just saying these are things to consider in the future for your next project in FileMaker, right? Or as you're building new things. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's I mean, you come here to learn about what we do and what, for years, right? So I'm doing that all day long, and I work to try to find a better way and to use the tool that FileMaker give to us, and trying to find a combination, a nice recipe. It's like a chef, a restaurant chef.
Yep.
You have onions and you have tomatoes, right? You can do like a thing like you go to vomit, or you can do something like wow, right? So
Yeah.
it's dependent
Yeah.
of the cook. It's the same thing here. So here, let's say I want to duplicate this and make. So I have this object here, right? And I want. So now this object is simple. It's built, right? So let's do this, right?
Mm.
And you duplicate this. So now I have two like this,
Yep.
and then I can just easily, um, you know,
Adjust
home
it. Yeah,
address
sure.
two.
Yeah.
Yeah, just adjust it, right? City, home state, and postal code.
Yeah, I
Okay.
miss not sitting with you, Nick, going through this stuff. This is good stuff. I
Yeah.
miss not wrestling with you.
And here I said that home address, and here that very simple to fix, right?
Mm.
So I go in here inside this object, right?
Mm.
So okay, I can. The best way to do is to copy this out of the button, okay,
Yeah.
and paste it here again, and then change it, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Home. So you copy this home, 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 home. That's why when you are consistent in your naming, you can do stuff like this. You can rewrite the thing very easily, right? So what happened here? Oh yeah. So I need to copy this, and then I paste it here, right?
Yep. Yep.
And this is 25, and boom.
Mikey Mike goes, yeah, most of the last 2 weeks have introduced features that will take a long time to process. I think in his I don't know, in his mind, I would suppose. I mean, you show a lot of stuff, but people have to absorb it, Nick, um, and internalize it, right? And I think as instructors, we have to be thoughtful about that. That's why
Yes.
sometimes you'll see us repeat things. You're doing fine, Nick. Are you done? Oh, it's done. You finished it? Oh yeah, there it is. So
So
nice.
now, yeah.
Yep.
So now, before we go, of course, we need to address this problem,
Which problem is that?
which is when it's empty.
Okay.
Okay. So there's two ways. You keep empty, okay,
Mm-hmm.
or you can put a placeholder.
Oh,
Okay.
can you put a placeover over a blank LCO, layout
Yes.
calculation?
So okay.
Oh,
So
I did not know that.
we yeah we can do that, and we can, but it's I just saw the time, it's 15, but it even if it's empty, it doesn't look bad because you know what to do, right? But I will rather prefer to say no address here instead of being blank, right? So how we do that in the calc, right? The calc here. So how we do that? Okay, so we copy the calc, right? And I'm going to my data viewer because I love it, right? So I remove those because those are, so flat address. So why I said no? Oh, because it's empty. So this is empty, right? Right. So I know I like the let statement, but we can do without the let statement. But without the let statement is not easy to understand. You know, let me do without the let statement and with the let statement. Let's say I
Okay.
want to do this. So if, right,
Ah, here we go. Yep.
is empty
Yep.
this,
Yep.
then I want no address.
Okay.
Otherwise, I want this.
Okay.
That cool for you? That nice?
Nah, I would put some carriage returns in there, but yeah, at least it makes sense to
But
teaching someone
but
that.
now let me show you the right way, right?
Uh-oh.
So
Uh-oh.
let's keep this. So let's keep this. I don't even
I
know
always
why.
get nervous when he tells me on live stream that I have to do it the right way.
Okay, so let's do the right way. Let address equal this. That's my address.
Okay.
If is empty address,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Okay.
I want no address.
Okay.
Oh,
Mm.
the way it is
Well, it's
here.
midnight
No,
your time. That's your problem, right? So,
it's
yeah.
okay. So if is empty address, no address.
Mm.
Otherwise, I want address.
Yep. Okay.
So
Then you
what
have
is
to.
more easy to read?
No, I
Okay.
understand. I
So
understand.
why okay, why a let statement is always better to use, and that I could stay a week on the let statement. I want to do that. Why is better? Because this is not something is this is not where the complication lives. This is not complicated. You put your stuff there, boom, 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 right?
Okay.
You put your stuff there. The logic is here. Your brain will be much more you will need more attention here because this is where you have the logic. There's no logic here. You said address equal this,
Yep.
but here you have if is empty address, then I want no address, otherwise I want address.
Yeah.
So this is much easier to read. Okay, so now I said no address here. So here, so I'm copying that calculation. I'm going back here in my stuff. I'm putting here. Now I copy this calc and I
Mm-hmm.
put it here,
Okay.
right? And I put 25.
Yeah. So we got more questions coming up. We're gonna
So,
have to land this airplane, but Mikey Mike asked a question, and it's a really great question. So let me
mhm,
know when you're done with that, Nick.
I'm done.
Okay. So we're back to this performance issue. Can you go back to the let function, or just bring up a let function that's kind of wherever the calc is? Show me the one. Yeah. Okay. So here's the deal. Um, so Nick, I'm teeing this up for you. So you ready? So we'll see.
Yes.
So Mikey Mike says, does a let process faster than an if? And the answer is generally yes, and it can be dramatically faster, right? Uh,
If you don't master the let statement, you will never leave the medium level FileMaker. Never.
all right, so that's okay. He's throwing down some big smack. He's throwing some shade here, real quick. So on this calculation right here, so I can draw this. So here's the deal with this to make it more specific. So Mikey Mike, so right here, say there was a formula right here, an address equal to formula. It doesn't matter. Right now it's pretty simple. If we define this, it calculates it here. We define these. These are all calculated one times up here. Then down below, we could have a really big formula where we say address and address and address and address and address and address. If you have an if statement, generally what happens, it will recalculate building that each time, where here it did it once at the top and saved it. Nick,
Yes.
am I explaining that correct? So it
Yes.
it
Yes.
it does say this is really an ugly formula. Then it
Let me explain. In a let statement,
mm-hmm,
when you do this,
mm-hmm,
right? So that's what we call that statement. This is where you have your statements,
mm-hmm.
right? And this is where you have the logic. Okay. So in your statements, right,
Yep.
is the same. And FileMaker tells you all what he said here. Variable.
Mm-hmm.
He said variable. So when you do when you do this, is exactly like doing this in the scripts.
What set variable?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's the same
yeah,
thing.
Yeah. But there's no dollars in it. That's why I always, be
Yes,
careful with
there's no
that. But
dollar.
yeah, but yeah.
But you can, but as I show to many people many times, in the let statements, right?
Hmm.
You can make this a variable, right?
Yep. Yeah, and then it programs it. So I
Oh,
think there's
so
some
now
interest
test
here.
Nick.
I think there's some interest here, Nick, for you to do a performance series of
Yes.
things of to make. And once again, sometimes you'll make things go faster, but they're harder to understand, vice versa. So it's always a trade-off in performance. Generally, you're going to get
Mm-hmm.
something faster, but you might lose something along the way. That would be a really good series, Nick. I think people would.
Yes.
I mean, I know that I like that.
Yeah.
People
The
listen.
the the, pro- the prime of the performance. What I need to do now is I need to work through my biggest projects and look where I struggle the most for the performance. And yeah, so for the performance, so the let statement, some because here, for example, just go back to the let statement here. What I'm doing here is totally, completely, totally, but completely impossible to do if you don't have the let statement. Why? Is because you need two lists in one list,
Yeah.
and you cannot do this without, because if you do a list in a list,
Hmm.
well, FileMaker will say go bleep yourself.
Really, I didn't know
It's
that.
not possible. You need to
Really?
use a state. No, it's not possible.
Oh, okay.
Not working. It's not working. The first list will be the first value of the list. It won't work. So if you want to do something, because here I'm combining two lists in one, right? I have this one here, this list here, and then I'm reusing this inside here. So I predefine this before, using this and this, I'm putting that here, and then I'm using this result and I put here
Hmm.
in this list.
Yeah. Okay. I don't normally get that crazy with lists. I use it a very minimal sort of way. So that's
But the list in that case, like the best example is when you have first name, last name.
hmm.
When you do like this and you say, okay, you have the first, equal Nick, right?
Hmm.
Like this, and you have the yes, no, first, and you
Yep.
have last,
Okay.
and equal, okay,
Okay.
and then you want to do my trick here. You say list
Hmm.
of first and last. Okay,
Mm.
so when you do this, right? You
Hmm.
when you do
You got to fix
last,
that.
yeah.
Yeah. There we
Okay,
go.
yeah.
There we go.
So now I have this.
Okay.
Okay, so now I have this. I can do
Mm.
this. I substitute in the list all the carriage return with
The space. Yeah.
a space. But why this? Is because, oh, I have no last name, no blank.
Mm.
Oh, I have no first name, no blank.
Mm.
If you put first space last, if you don't have the last, you have a space. And if you don't have, and you need the trim. But what happened? Because this is not my name, this is my name. So what you do here, right?
Mm.
With my stuff, with the substitute here, you don't have the problem. You have no problems, right?
Okay.
No, and you can play. So, and when you have a let statement, you can do something like this. Oh, I want last and first, right? And
Hmm.
then I want this off.
Okay.
You see, Hunter Mukiatos, comma, Nick, right? You can, with the let, you can play, you can do whatever you want, right? So yeah, I will do something. If you want me to talk about performance, we need to talk about the statements.
All right, everyone. We greatly appreciate it as always. Nick, you'll be here tomorrow. Margaret should be back. I hope. We'll see how that goes. She's back from her trip. And that's it for everyone today. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye.